Hi everyone, welcome to our early college and AP information night. We sure wish you guys could be here with us. This seems very awkward talking in front of a empty auditorium, but we're glad that you could join us virtually. As we get started, I want to take a minute just to introduce the people who are with me tonight on our panel and then provide a little bit of direction as we get started. My name is Tracy McMahon. I'm the Director of Early College and Assistant Principal here at Center Grove High School. I have two children here within the corporation. My daughter is a senior, and then I have an 8th grade son as well. Mrs. Ferguson is also a assistant principal here at the high school. She's in charge of our scheduling process, so many of you will get to know her well as we go through the freshman scheduling. She also has children here at Center Grove High School. She has a son who has graduated already. She has a daughter who's a junior, and then an 8th grade daughter as well. Megan Krukemeyer over here is our Director of Guidance. She is our early college freshman guidance counselor. She's also over the letter A, foreign exchange students, and then our E&L students as well. She has two younger children. They're not here at the high school yet, though. And then over here to my other side, we have Mrs. Chaplin. She is the early college counselor for grades 10 through 12. She has a daughter who's a junior here at the high school as well, and then she also has 8th grader and 6th grader, 9th grader and 6th grader in another, I'm close, 7th grader in another building. As we get started tonight, just a reminder that if you have questions, please put those in the Q&A section. And as we go through tonight's program, we will answer those as best we can, but we will leave time at the end to go over some specific questions that you may have about our program here. And then for those of you who want to perhaps stay for the AP version, we'll transition over to that at the end of this part. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first part of our conversation is going to be about early college. So as you can see, here is our mission statement. Our goal is to accelerate college readiness, having our students complete college credit coursework in a personalized environment. That's something that we really pride ourselves on, is that not only do we offer rigorous coursework, but we do so in a way that provides support for students. So at Center Grove High School, there are 3 different ways that you can earn college credit. The first way is to go your traditional AP course. You can take a variety of AP courses, and as long as you earn a 3 or better on that particular course, you have the opportunity of earning dual credit at the particular university you attend. We also have the STGEC, which is a blending of AP courses as well as dual credit courses, mostly through VU classes, which are part of our early college. The third pathway you can go is our traditional early college pathway, which it means you are an early college student. And through that, you earn credit being part of our small learning community, which is our school within a school. You take part in the majority of dual credit classes to earn all of those credits.
I chose early college because it seemed like the best opportunity for me as a freshman to really get in a smaller community, in a smaller community of the school, and kind of find my way to succeed better.
For me, I want to be a doctor. So the reason why I chose to do early college and the reason it's going to help me is because being a doctor takes a long time and there's a lot of schooling, so any time that I can cut off of that I think is beneficial for me.
I think the biggest misconception about early college is that it's only for a certain type of student, be that a lower student who maybe is a first-generation college or for the super advanced student. We have such a wide range of diversity among our student population that it really kind of is for anyone as long as they meet a couple of specific criteria.
Freshmen coming into the program need to have specific reading levels, and they have to have the ability to do some of those things that a college student would be ready to do. It's a fairly open and diverse group that I think appreciates the level of rigor that we offer.
I decided to choose early college because it's honestly just an exceptional program. They give you benefits that honestly I don't think any other high school does. You have the choice to graduate with an academic honors. You have the choice, you can even go for your associate's degree. With most kids that helps a lot. That knocks off 2 years of your college. So you're getting done earlier with your bachelor's. It's just really an exceptional program.
We have a variety of students who participate in sports, choirs, orchestra,
band, theater. We have a very diverse group of students, and they pride themselves on being able to manage all of that, and they're able to do that a lot through the support of their teachers and through the tutors that we have through early college.
Teachers have a lot of supports in place for our early college students. We have office hours available for our students. We're around them all the time, so we see them in the hallway, so if we need to talk to them, we can pull them as they walk by, or we can talk to another teacher. And so we kind of support each other, and then in that we support the students.
A lot of us just have open door policies where anytime kids have questions, they're welcome to come on in and ask, as long as they're not interrupting a lecture or a class discussion. We have the Early College Learning Center, which provides tutoring for English and math at no cost to the students.
We have a math tutor and an English tutor, and they help us with anything that you need in those two subjects. And that's something that the students who aren't in early college, they don't have that.
I think the best part about early college is the community that it creates, because I've gotten really close with a lot of my teachers and with just my friends in general, because there's only about 150 kids in my class, and then you have a circulation of the same teachers, so you get really close with everyone, and it's like it's a family.
If you think that you can't get in because you're not smart enough, that's just not true. I would say in the level of classes, I'd put it somewhere in between regular and honors.
The ideal student who is looking to be in early college is the motivated student. It's a student who's on grade level currently in middle school, who's passing I-STEP. It's a student who enjoys the challenge of rigorous coursework, but might yet still need some supports. They like being involved in a team-like feel with teachers who know them, with students they're familiar with in classes, and they enjoy that collaborative atmosphere.
Look at it with the perspective of, this is something that you're going to be entering in for the next 4 years, and high school can be really hard, and sometimes it's really nice to have a community, a place where you can feel like it's your home inside of such a big school with almost, over 2,000 students. It's the best place, it's a really good place where you can feel like you matter and that you're in a community where you're going to stand out.
I just believe in it so much. I put my own children in it, so I think it's a great program, and it's just great.
We hope that video just provides you a little bit more information about early college, and that's on our website, so you can go back and visit it at any time. Before we really get into the meat of tonight, we just want to take a minute to remind you that it's okay to be nervous about this moment. All of us, except for Ms. Krukemeyer, have gone through this, and there really is so much to do and have fun and experience when your kid's in high school. I know it's probably scary thinking of them getting ready to come to high school, especially with the strange year that they've had and the way they ended last year. And we just want to reassure you that no matter which path your student takes, there are many right paths here at the high school, and there's not necessarily a wrong path for your child to choose. So while we're going to go through a lot of information tonight, try not to feel overwhelmed. These are decisions that are just here to give you an overview. And when we really need to get into the nitty-gritty, in most parts of their high school career, it's not until their junior and senior year that we approach that. So people have lots of time to make decisions about, do they want to go with the STGEC? Do they want to do the associate's degree? So I know that tonight's likely going to be overwhelming in some components and parts, but no, we're here to answer your questions. And if we don't answer them tonight, we are available throughout the rest of the semester and then next year as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about early college. Obviously, you saw the video, and so as we go into some more detail, a lot of people want to know, why should my student be interested in doing early college? One of the first reasons that early college is beneficial, and is likely one of the main reasons our students love it so much, is because of the small learning community and the family-like atmosphere. Our teachers are close together in location. Your students will likely have the same teacher several times over the course of their 4 years. And because of that, and because they're together in classes with the same students throughout the 4 years, they're able to form close bonds. And so that's where that family-like atmosphere comes from. In addition to having the small learning community, the other reason that our students say they love early college is because of the opportunity to earn the dual credit. We'll get into some more detail about what dual credit is, but if you're not aware, Colleges across the United States require students to take 30 or more hours of general credits, and typically that occurs in the freshman and sophomore years as they approach college. What's beneficial about early college is that we offer those classes to our students while they're in high school. And so what this means is that they're able to get a head start on college by completing those general ed classes prior to actually entering their college years. And so what that does for them is it enables them to have a lighter college load. Instead of perhaps taking 18 hours every semester, they might want to take 12. They could possibly graduate from college early, whether that might be 3 years or 3.5. Oftentimes, students can double major because they have more room in their schedule. And additionally, it saves parents money. I'll talk more about this again in just a few slides, but by taking the college courses here at Center Grove High School, you're able to do that at a cheaper price versus what you might pay if your student were to take that same exact class at another university. We really pride ourselves and feel strongly that when students leave Center Grove High School and from being part of the early college program, that they are ready for the rigor and experience of their future college courses. So I'll take a minute to talk a little bit more about a small learning community. For you guys, the thing that probably makes the most sense is to think of it as a team. Each grade level has about 125 students, which is actually smaller than what their middle school teams are. And they're with those same 125 students in their core classes throughout their 4 years of high school. Another thing about early college is that many of our classes have cross-curricular emphasis. And so what that means is that a lot of times our English and social studies teachers will combine topics so that students are learning it across multiple classes. One of the things that our students say again and again is that close relationship that they're able to maintain with their teachers and that they're also able to maintain with themselves. As you can imagine, if you're in an English class as a freshman and you continue in early college, you will likely have your English classes again with the same students. Now obviously with 125 students, it's not going to be the same 30 kids that maybe you had your freshman year. But as you go through the other courses, perhaps your history course, perhaps even a science course, our students get to know each other and they get to know their teachers, and that helps ease students' worries. It allows them to answer questions with teachers because they don't have that initial fear of not knowing who their students in their class are or also who their teachers might be. There are a few things that are just unique to early college, so I want to highlight a few of those. We consider ourselves a school within a school. So it makes a big school seem a little bit smaller, again, because of those students and because of the same teachers that you might have. But we do a few things that are specific to our program. Obviously, Center Grove High School has stars. For those of you who don't know, think of it like a homeroom. Our early college students are with early college teachers for those star classes, which again just reinforces that community. We do have specific counselors, again, one for freshmen and then Mrs. Chaplin for grades 10 through 12. Our students do not switch counselors during their 4 years here, and that really helps us ensure that their college credits are on the right path. It also helps create tight family connections. We really get to know our families well. We also have available to our students a math and an English tutor, and those tutors are provided by Vincennes University. Ideally, they're geared for our upperclassmen who are taking the dual credit classes, but our freshmen and sophomores are also able to reach out and utilize those tutors. They are free of charge, and they are located here in our building. They work around 25 hours a week, and our students typically sign in with a Google form in order to sign up for a time. We also have what we call LGMs, or large group meetings. Our goal in these meetings is to provide information and prepare our students as much as we can for these upcoming college moments, whether it's the PSAT or the SAT, so that they are prepared and ready to be successful. As I've mentioned a lot, we have our early college community, and listed below are just some of the things that we do that we feel kind of help make us that family-like community that we really feel we are. We have a beginning of the year kickoff where we all come together. Obviously, we couldn't do that this year, but we try to come together at the beginning of the year just to reinforce our EC values. We have holiday helpers, which is similar to perhaps a Christmas angel, where we pick a family that we like to support during the holiday season, and we collect money and give presents to that family. Again, our classrooms are near each other, and our teachers really are like a team, similar to what you guys are used to at middle school. They communicate with each other. They know their kids in and out. You'll see lots of high fives and laughter in our hallways. So now we're going to get a little bit into the nitty-gritty of college credits. And this is the part where if you're overwhelmed, please don't feel like you have to have all of this memorized and you need to know all of it by heart. Oftentimes, we'll continue to go through these conversations in through your junior and senior year, and we will make sure that we take care of you. So here's what you need to know. So as I said earlier, colleges require 30 or more hours of general education requirements. Our early college students take those classes here when they are in high school. And so how we're able to do that is our partnership with Vincennes University. While Vincennes is our partnering university, these college classes are taught by our teachers. We do have some classes, if students choose to take online, that are taught by a VU professor. There is a small charge for our classes, but again, it is definitely cheaper than if you were to take it at a local university. Our classes are $25 a credit hour. Most of our classes are 3 credit hours, which means obviously our totals would be $75. If you compare that to a college and university, you'll find if you guys have students who are already in college that those classes are upwards of $400, perhaps even a credit. So last year when we take our graduating class, our students through our Vincennes program were able to save their parents over $900,000. I know it seems overwhelming to think about your students taking college classes when they haven't even signed up for a freshman class, but again, we want to reassure you that most of those courses take place their junior and senior year, and their freshman year actually is very comparable to every other freshman here at Center Grove High School. Some of the questions that we typically get as well about college credit classes is, are they weighted? And if you're not familiar with weighted grades, that simply means that if a student gets a B in the class, a weighted class means instead of a 3.0, it would be weighted as a 4.0. So it just weights their GPA a little bit higher. Most of our upper level dual credit classes are weighted. Here are some other things that are important to know. How does your child earn the credit? Well, the first thing that your child will need to do is make sure that they meet the course requirements. We'll take care of them in that regard, so I'm not going to go too far into the details of that. But in order to earn the college credit, your child needs to be enrolled in the course, and they need to earn a C or better. It is important to know that the grade that the student earns in their college class is part of their high school transcript. That grade does not transfer to the college unless they were to attend Vincennes University. So I know one of the questions that parents often ask is, well, I don't know that my student's going to get a good grade in this class. I don't want it to impact their college GPA. Well, unless your student is going to attend the university that issues the credit, that GPA will not be impacted. Also, a lot of people want to know, well, where do the credits transfer? My student thinks they want to go to IU, or my student wants to go out of state, or my kid doesn't even know where they want to go, which is absolutely fine and probably very normal. Our credits are transferable. To my knowledge, we have not had any issues with credits transferring to institutions in or outside of Indiana, whether that's private or public. The only schools that typically do not take credits are going to be your military schools, and then of course, perhaps your Ivy League schools, but they're also not going to take any AP classes either. When you get up to those levels, they want you to take their version of the class, but the rigor that prepares students for college obviously is still beneficial. What if your kid needs some extra support during these college classes? As I said earlier, we have our English and math tutor. They work 20 to 25 hours a week. Our teachers also have office hours where they're available to answer student questions. We basically have an open door policy, as was mentioned in the video. We don't expect students to walk in and be college kids from the start. Most of them are 16, 17 years old, so we want to make sure we provide that support as well. So there's a few different pathways your child can pursue, and again, as I said earlier, these are not decisions that need to be made today. These are decisions that can be made as they head into their junior and senior year. What you'll hear most often is us talk about the STGEC, or the Core 30, and that is the 30-hour block that we refer to, which is close to the equivalent of their general ed requirements. As I said earlier, colleges require 30 or more general ed hours. So when we talk about the core 30, that's what we're talking about, those general education classes. If you go to IU, they're gonna say you need to take an English class, a math class, a science class, a fine arts class, a social science class, same as if you were to go to Purdue. So those students who get the core 30, that's what they're getting. They're getting that block of 30 credits. We also have an associate's degree. We have our main focus is in general studies, and that course has an emphasis on English and history. We do also have a general studies associate degree with an emphasis on information technology. Just to put things into perspective, the class of 2020 had 120 graduating seniors. 63 of those students earned the STGAC, 45 earned the associate's degree, and then 12 students earned somewhere in the range of 15 to 40 hours. I want to take a moment to just address some common misconceptions. These are things that we often hear, and with no ill intent. It's, as we said earlier, it's very easy to be overwhelmed, and I know that you often hear many things as we go through. Can I have my screen back up? Hold, please. There we go. Oh, one more, sorry. Perfect. So again, as I was saying, some misconceptions. Some things that we hear is that your student is going to attend a 4-year college, therefore EC won't help them. Or your student doesn't plan to attend Vincennes, so EC won't help them. Just want to assure you that as we looked through the data of last year, and this is pretty typical, 98% of our graduates go to a 4-year school. That is, in fact, what our typical trajectory has been for the past several years. As you can kind of see the breakdown of in-state, public versus private, as well as out-of-state. I just think that that's interesting information as you're kind of considering what place your students might go to. So I would expect our EC students to attend a 4-year school. Obviously, it's not for everyone, but the majority of our students do. And obviously, they have not attended VU. And again, it helps them because they're able to get that block of 30, which allows them then to take other classes or graduate early. Some people also want to know, well, what do students major in if early college is something that they do in high school? I've listed some of those below. We have everything from nursing to business, biology, engineering, education, pretty much the whole gamut. Our students are very diverse and they have a lot of unique interests, and so we just encourage them to work hard and pursue the things that best interest them. Another misconception is that early college is for students who struggle academically. That is actually not the case. In order to be successful in these college classes, we know that our students coming in need to be academically on grade level or above. If they are not, it is generally a challenge, and we don't want to put students in a situation where they start off high school in a grade deficit. So just to, again, give you some perspective, our graduating class of 2020, their average GPA in their college courses was a 3.5 out of 4.0. 70% of our EC students in the class of 2020 took one or more honors classes while they were in early college. And then just to provide you some ISTEP data, you can see that the early college English and math ISTEP scores are higher than the Center Grove total pass rate. Our EC kids are blended in with the total Center Grove pass rate, but just to kind of give you an idea, it is not for students who struggle academically. It's also not for a student that has to be in an honors class. We have several kids who've not taken honors classes in middle school, and they're very successful. My daughter's one of them. She's never taken an honors class in middle school. She's never taken an honors class here at Center Grove High School, and she's earning her core 30, and she has been exposed to the rigor and the coursework, and I feel 100% confident that she's ready to go to college next year. And I might go ahead and cry on that note. Just kidding. Okay, so again, as I stated earlier, I know this is a ton of information and we're almost to the Q&A, which I'm excited to hear some of your questions, and that's when our panel will come back on and you'll get to hear from them as well. So as I stated earlier, a ton of information, but please remember that freshman year is freshman year. All of those classes where we talked about dual credit and the STGAC and the associates is not until their junior or senior year. So as you are looking as far as making the decision of should your child apply to early college or not, it's really making a decision about is this the type of track you want them to be on? We'll figure out the nitty-gritty part as they go through. So here's a sample freshman early college track. Our students are going to take early college English. That is not the same as English 9, and it is not honors English. Early college English is more rigorous than regular English 9. A lot of emphasis on writing. Our program is very writing heavy in order to prepare those for the upper level classes. In early college, you are allowed to take an honors math or an honors science class. However, you do not have to. So all freshmen take a science. So the options for early college are listed there. Our early college students take geography. Again, they do not take honors geography. They take our early college geography. I already mentioned math. They can take honors, but do not have to. Our students do take a dual credit class their freshman year. That's our VU Keystone Study Skills class. It's a combination of our traditional Center Grove High School Keystone, but has some combinations of study skills that we feel like is a place to get them started off on the right track as they get ready to head into some of those upper level classes in a few years. Students can take a world language. Students are able to take any world language that they choose. We do offer dual credit Spanish and dual credit French as they head into their junior year, but students do not have to take Spanish or French in early college. They can take any language they want. Students get an elective, so perhaps that would be band, choir, biomed, art, anything along those lines, and then all students get a study hall. So if you're wondering if your student would be recommended for a math and science class, if that's something that's important to your child, you can see the different data measures that we use off to the side. Students who are recommended for those courses will be notified at the time of scheduling. If you apply to early college and you're wondering if your kid will be in honors, I cannot tell you that at this time. We're going to do freshman scheduling later into February, and so at that point in time, you will be able to know if your child qualified for those classes. So how does the application process work? Every year, as I stated, we have about 125 students who get accepted into the EC program. In a typical year, we will have around 200 or so applicants. So obviously this means that not everyone who applies can get in. We do have a wait list, and every year I pull from the wait list. So if your student applies and doesn't initially get in, and they're stated that they're on the wait list, while I understand that it can be very upsetting, it may be frustrating. I have pulled from the wait list every single year because there are times, and every time we have this every year, students apply and then they do not accept the spot in early college. So please be patient if that occurs and happens to you. How do we choose who gets into early college? As I stated, they need to be on grade level. Students should be earning A's and B's in their middle school classes. They should be turning in their work on time. We will look at their NWEA scores, their iLearn scores, which I realize they did not have any last year. We're going to look at citizenship and attendance. Attendance is very important. Obviously, this year is an anomaly, so I understand that. That would not count against anyone. And then, of course, their academic application information. I believe that's the end of my slide, and I think we're going to go to a Q&A. Just double check. Yep. Okay, so if you'll just be patient with us as we get ready to go to the Q&A. If there are questions that you guys have that I have not answered or something that wasn't clear, please put those in the Q&A section and we'll go through and we will discuss some of those questions that you might have. And don't be shy. This is usually our favorite part of the night where we're able to interact with you guys, so we're gonna try to do our best interacting via computer. Just a minute, please. Okay. Should we just answer them live, Stacy? Is that the best thing? Okay. So you guys feel free to jump in. We just want to start at the top. Okay, so April, you asked, can you start early college and then decide to opt out later? The short answer of that is yes, you can. We would ask that students and families really consider whether or not this is the path for them, because on the onset, if we have a student that begins in the program, we would like for them to stay in the program so that they haven't necessarily taken a spot for someone else, but we do recognize that there are instances where maybe it's not the best fit. We would hope that there would be open lines of communication so that we could work through some of those concerns rather than having a student maybe decide they don't want to be in it. What are the reasons why a student might not want to be in it, and we could work through them. And again, if not, we understand that it's not the ideal fit for everyone. Let's see, do you have to join as a freshman or can you join in as a junior? Very good question. We typically accept as a freshman in the early college program. Every year, we have some students who maybe don't get in as freshmen, or perhaps they move into Center Grove as a sophomore, and so we do have a late application round. We only then allow students in as upperclassmen if we have spots opening in the cohort, and that's usually a class balance. We don't want our class sizes to get so big, so when we take 125, if I have 3 kids move away at the end of their freshman year, that would leave me 3 spots to fill their sophomore year. So we typically don't accept as a junior. To be honest, we don't usually have applicants junior year. Our students are pretty far into our program by then. If that's something that a student is interested in doing, as we get to the next portion, the STGEC is usually an option for students who might want to balance AP classes and some dual credit, and that sometimes is our junior entry with a class like that.
Tracy, do you want me to jump in and grab a couple there?
Please.
We had a question about students who are interested in playing sports in college and how does EC impact that. I would say that that is a great opportunity for the students to show that they can handle the rigor of a college course while still maintaining all the hours it requires a sport. So it doesn't impact as far as the play. Our EC students are on every sports team that we have, every extracurricular, every choir. So they have lots of time to participate in those things, and if they excel, I would say this just helps them to show that they can indeed do that college work. There was another question about what is the difference between honors and AP, and we're going to have lots of information for you about that in a few minutes. The short answer to that is honors is oftentimes called pre-AP. You take your honors classes when you're a freshman and sophomore, and those classes and the core contents get you ready for those AP classes that you take predominantly as a junior and senior.
Could I jump in just a moment?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
In regards to the question about the college scholarships in relation to sports, we also have many students who do go on and play sports in college and will have had their core 30 complete. What that does is just allow them to either take a little bit of a lighter load in college while they're playing those sports and still be considered a full-time student, or double major, major and minor, any of those types of things.
We had a question about the tutors and if they are available during school hours or after school. Great question. Our tutors are only available during school hours. This year, they're also doing some Zoom hours. I'm hoping that we're not in that situation next year. Students are able to go in when we have STAR. They can go in to see the tutors during that time, or also during their study halls. They're available. Angela, do you want to answer the question, how do the students classify for the associate's degree?
Sure. So for the associate's degree, basically there's what we call the core 30, also known as the STGEC. Those are one and the same. I use those very much interchangeably. That is having those core classes complete. The associate's degree means that you're going to take an additional 30 hours on top of that. What that basically means, on top of the core, you're going to have an additional class in social science. You're going to have an additional 12 credit hours, which is going to be about 4 classes and 100 level electives. And then you're going to have what's equivalent to 5 classes or 15 credit hours and 200 level electives. And we have different classes that can pertain to that. The vast majority of those are going to be in the English and social science areas. So that's why we call it an associate's degree in general studies. There oftentimes are opportunities for students to have a computer science focus, or also known as information technology, or even a business focus. What that's allowing those students to do is take 100 level electives and 200 level electives in either business or information technology / computer science, to allow those to have a more concentrated. Sorry.
We have a few questions about the honors diploma, which is definitely a common question, and I'm going to have Mrs. Krukemeyer answer about the honors diploma, and then there are some follow-up questions that will come in with that as well.
Sure. So the academic honors diploma is the core 40 diploma kind of beefed up a little bit. So on top of the 40 credits that you have to earn for the core 40 diploma, you also have to have 2 fine arts credits. You have to have an extra year of math, so 8 credits total. You have to have either 2 years of 2 foreign languages or 3 years of 1 foreign language. You also need to have or be exposed to AP exams, also earning the credit in the AP, or you can do dual credit. There's also an option where you can take 1 AP course and then also pair that with 1 dual credit course to earn that requirement. You have to have a 3.0 GPA at least, and then you cannot earn anything below a C- in any course towards that diploma.
I will follow that up with, there's also something called the technical honors diploma, and not to confuse anyone, but oftentimes what that is doing is taking the core 40, and again, kind of like Mrs. Krukemeyer said, beefing that up a little bit. The difference is you do not need a world language for the technical honors diploma. You do still have to have the components of either dual credit or meeting some component of the academic honors, and that's where it gets a little more technical. So either the combination of an AP or dual credit classes, or scoring a certain score on ACT or SAT, as well as you do need to have 6 high school credits in what's called a pathway. The most common pathways we have here at the high school are going to be in information technology or computer science, business, Project Lead the Way Biomed, and Project Lead the Way engineering, as well as 6 transcribed dual credits within that pathway. So if that's a path you think you want to go because you're not interested in doing the world language, simply work with your school counselor on that.
We had a question asking about the foreign language component again for the honors diploma. Just to clarify, 3 years of 1 world language or 2 years of 2. So let's say Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, French 2, or they could take 3 years of Spanish. The diplomas, you can earn the diploma, the academic honors diploma, whether you're in early college, AP courses, or just regular classes at Center Grove High School. You do not need to take any honors courses to earn the academic honors diploma, which is very confusing. So as we get closer to scheduling and planning, those are great conversations to have with our counselors, and we'll kind of gear students towards that path. Let us take another look at questions. What might lead someone to choose the honors AP track over EC? Honestly, it just depends on the student. Some students want to have the highest possible GPA that they can. In early college, your English and your history class, your freshman and sophomore year, are not weighted courses. So students who definitely want to make sure they have the highest possible GPA as they go through their 4 years would likely to take the honors and AP track because they can take 4 honors classes their freshman year and then also their sophomore year, where in early college you can only take 2. You can take math and science, but again, you can't take the English and social studies. So that could be a component. Some students just appreciate the test of the AP course as we get further. That's just a path that they're interested in. Maybe they don't feel the need to be in a small learning community, that's not important for them. They don't necessarily need to feel like they have that connection with their teachers. Some may not have an interest in earning the core 30. Maybe they just want to do more of an a la carte path and take courses that interest them only in the sciences or only in mathematics or English. So those might be some reasons why students choose the honors and AP route versus the early college route.
So there's a question about students being interested in C9 and how does that work with the early college program. Basically, those classes are taken in their junior and senior year. If they go to C9, they come here to the high school for the first 2 periods of the day, take those classes, the years that we have STAR, they would leave midway through STAR and then head to C9 and finish out their day at C9. And that's either through their own transportation or through our busing system. There's an opportunity for students to take 2 full years over at C9. That also allows students to get that academic honors or technical honors diploma. Sorry, I meant to say technical honors diploma if they're choosing a pathway. Oftentimes C9 has Vincennes and Ivy Tech credits through their programs as well. It's basically trying to decide what is the best program and path for your student. If they're looking at, say, the CNA program or a veterinary program, is your student wanting to get either their CNA or getting that hands-on experience, which is what C9 is going to offer, or do they want to take more of the science classes and double up and triple up on science and math while they're here at the high school?
There's a question that we have on the different types of diplomas at the high school, and we've got different slides that we'll talk about through this. We're going to have a night for 8th grade scheduling, and it'll be very similar to this on March 2nd. So we'll have more nuts and bolts about how to schedule for your freshman year then. But to kind of just give you general answers to that, at the high school, every student starts out with a Core 40 diploma track, and that is established by the state of Indiana. It's 40 credits, just like it sounds, and it's designed to make sure that our students who receive that diploma type are ready to attend a university or some post-secondary training program after they leave our doors. Then we also have the Academic Honors Diploma. The Academic Honors Diploma requires 47 credits, and that increases by adding an additional math class. They have to have 4 years of math. They also have to have 3 years of one foreign language, or 2 years and 2 years of 2 different foreign languages. So the big components there are that foreign language and the additional math class that they have to have. Students can get an academic honors diploma without ever taking an honors class. And I know that sounds very counterintuitive. It takes a while to get your head wrapped around that, but a student can take regular English 9, regular math classes, regular algebra, and as long as they take that additional foreign language component and also the additional math classes, then they can earn that academic honors diploma. The academic honors diploma is something that says that a student might be prepared for more academic or rigorous type of university. So Core 40 is going to get your student into Indiana State, into Ball State, University of Southern Indiana, lots of out-of-state places. If your student has aspirations that they want to go to a Rose-Hulman, a Wabash, probably Purdue or IU, any place out of state that is known for academics, Northwestern, any of the Ivy Leagues, if they want to go to a service academy, then I would say it would be best to pursue your academic honors diploma. We also have an academic honors with technical honors diploma, and that is going to be a student that's going to take some of those classes from C9. And it's also a great way to show that you're ready for the next steps in your education with very specific requirements. We also, when we talk about the core, when we talk about core in high school, in this instance or in any instance, we're talking about your main academic classes. So math, English, science, social studies, and world language. The elective classes, whether it's band, family and consumer sciences, art, music, any of the fine arts, business classes, those are not core classes. Those are elective classes. So when you hear core, that's really what we're referring to. And the Core 30 is referring to those core academic classes that any university is going to allow students to take or require students to take.
I do want to clarify the difference between a Core 40 and a Core 30. A Core 40 is referencing the high school diploma, and the Core 30 is referencing the Vincennes certificate. Those are oftentimes very confusing to people. There is a question, are there any additional costs besides the $25 a credit hour? You're always going to have any other costs that are associated with school, whether it be book fees, iPad rental, those types of things. If a student decides to take an online course for one reason or another, that does become $75 a credit hour. as well as any online access code or book fee that might be associated with that. And what that means is a student is essentially taking that class online with a then-sense professor.
We had a few questions regarding free and reduced students as well as 21st century students, so I wanted to address that as well. If you are a family who receives free and reduced help, the early college classes are available to you at no cost. Again, the only exception to that would be the VU classes that Mrs. Chaplin just spoke about that are online. There are definitely ways that you can earn your Core 30 and your STGEC without having to take those classes. So again, if you're free or reduced, those courses are available to you at no charge. 21st Century Scholars, another great question. Yes, you can still be in early college and be a 21st Century Scholar. The scholarship would come in and would apply until you earn your bachelor's degree. So, for instance, if you have your first 30 hours done, at that point in time you could double major, minor, perhaps study abroad, and your scholarship would cover up until you've earned your bachelor's degree. Now, if a student wanted to graduate early, obviously they could do that as well. Another question that we hear often is, are the early college classes all in the basement and are they all together, and do students ever come out and see other people? Yes, they do. They get to see other people. Early college students, their schedules really for the most part are split their freshman year. Half the time they're in early college and half the time they're out. Students are going to take an elective course, like I mentioned, and that elective course will not be with early college students, or study hall will not be with early college students. Depending on their world language, it may not be with early college students either. Their English and their math and their history class are going to be downstairs in the early college area. However, depending if they're in honor science or math, that could be moved to a different part of the building. So it really just depends, but I would say even as they matriculate through, they're going to have classes both in and outside of early college, as well as outside of the quote-unquote basement and up through the other areas of the high school.
I do apologize if this has been answered. There was a question about can students, if a student's not accepted into the early college program as a freshman, just so you're aware, they can reapply as a sophomore. There are opportunities to get what's known as the core, or also known as the STGEC, outside of the early college program. So yes, there are opportunities. Students outside of the early college program do have some options to take some of the dual credit courses. But it's primarily the core is going to be within early college and for early college students with early college teachers, because that's how that program is designed.
Okay, we're going to give you just another minute to post any other questions that you have. And then what we'll do, if there are no questions in the next few minutes, is kind of transition and take a short break. It's hard for me to tell, being virtual, how many of you are planning to stay for the AP EC information. And so what I'd like to do, if we don't have any further questions, is to provide our panel just a quick break, and then for those of you who are planning to stay with us for the AP night, we'll resume in just a few short minutes. Quick reminder for early college, the early college application deadline is February 2nd, so please make sure that if your student is interested in applying to early college, that they do apply on by 2/2 at 3 o'clock. We will then get information back to you as far as acceptance on February 19th. We will send that information via email. So if on February 19th by 5 o'clock you don't have an email letting you know one way or another, please check your spam, and then if you still don't receive an email from us, just go ahead and reach out. We'll be happy to double check that for you. And again, if you have any questions in the meantime, like we said, we know it's overwhelming. Again, just try to remember that there are more paths than just one that your student can be successful at. And we look forward to having them here with us for the next 4 years. Looks like we have just a few questions. So if you are only here for early college and you are finished viewing, feel free to go ahead and log off. Do you guys see any other questions open? Did I miss them? Will the credits transfer? One of the questions is, will the credits transfer? Yes, the majority of our courses are on the core transfer library, which basically means they transfer course for course at the area universities, both whether they're in-state or out-of-state. We really school our students up on how to have conversations with their academic advisors on that, and we provide a lot of support in that transition. How are early college classes more rigorous? What does that mean? More rigorous than our general ed classes. More rigorous in the sense that our students are on an accelerated curriculum. As they are freshmen in English class and history, we're pushing them so that they are prepared their sophomore year to take basically a combination of 10th grade and 11th grade English as well as U.S. history, so that their junior and senior year they can begin in those dual credit classes, which means they would have had the completion of skills needed for their junior year by the end of their sophomore year. So that's kind of the rigor. There would be definitely more writing, more advanced reading. Again, a lot of that will take place over multiple classes, whether it's English or history in that sense. Their dual credit classes, as I said, are weighted, so you could look at those as honors classes. But again, their support, like I said, we definitely have students who are not honor students who are in early college. That's why we have the support that we have and the teachers that we have. We really try to wrap our arms around them. As long as students are willing to put in the work and get the help that they need, if they find that they're struggling, they can definitely be successful.
To just jump in and add to that, one of the things that I would say about our early college students is that they're high achieving. They're students who want to do well and who want to get that degree. And if they're willing to put the time in, as Mrs. McMahon said, we've got the staff that is willing to help them get there as well. So I would say they might not have all been in our extended learning programs or gifted and talented programs, if you want to call it that, but they're kids that want to work hard and are going to be successful because of work ethic.
There's a question about what the acceptance rate for early college. I'm going to assume that means students leaving the high school applying to colleges. It's no different than any other student. They apply as an incoming freshman their senior year.
We have a question about, does early college mean that they'll have less opportunities to take electives? I think it depends on what path your student would be on. All students have the same opportunity for the same amount of electives. If a student is going into for their associate's degree, their electives will be limited to those courses that will help them earn that degree. Our students who are Core 30 students, they have the same opportunities to take as many electives as other students. We have several students who are doubled up in choir, or they take PE in choir every year that they're here in school, or they complete the biomed program. So they definitely have opportunities to pursue the things that they're interested in and the things that they're passionate about, and that's something that we feel is really important. Again, if your student goes for the associate's degree, obviously that path is a little more prescribed for them. So while they still will have the opportunity to do some of those outside electives, they are going to have to take some electives that are geared towards that pathway. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and take a quick just a few minutes to take a quick break here, and I see 170 people still on, so I'm going to assume that those 170 are here for our AP information. So if you'll just be patient with us for just a minute, go ahead at home and take a quick break, and we'll come back together in about 5 minutes.
Good evening and welcome back to Center Grove High School in our auditorium that feels really lonely without you all here. We're going to continue the second part of our evening, which talks about AP and honors courses. We'll also explain a little bit about the differences between AP and taking early college. We'll talk about different specifics of what the STGEC and Core 30 are. And we'll also show you some schedules that will give you great examples of which classes a student would be taking in their freshman year. One thing to keep in mind as we go through this, and Mrs. McMahon mentioned it in our earlier presentation, there's really more than one right way for your student to get through high school. There are so many different options that have been created in the last 10, 15 years that it can be overwhelming, but it's also reassuring that our students have so many great opportunities that we didn't have when we were students, and that they can get such great experiences here at Center Grove, whether they take regular classes and get a Core 40, whether they take early college and graduate with an associate's degree, or whether they become an AP scholar. All of those are going to prepare them well for their next adventures in education and life. And just don't get too overwhelmed by it, because there's nothing here that's going to happen in this freshman year that's going to prohibit them from doing something as they move forward. So we'll go ahead and jump in with the next slides. So what is AP? AP has been around for forever. Back in the old days, even in the 80s, you could take an AP class at some of our larger institutions or high schools. AP is a subsidiary of the College Board. So what that means is that they have been around for forever. Colleges accept their credits from all over the nation and internationally. So AP credits are going to transfer to just about anywhere. They're recognized throughout the United States and in most developed nations as rigorous courses that prove that a student is ready for college and doing college level work. The great thing about AP is that the student gets their high school credit while they're taking the class, and then they also get to take an exam to prove that they know the content. So that's that second bullet point. To get the college credit, the students must take the AP class and earn a specific score, 3 to 5 points, depending on the university standards. And what we mean by that is that a 3 on the AP test is considered passing the test. However, the universities that you go to are going to set the score for what they're going to accept the credit for. So for example, if you go to a university and you want to be a math major, they're probably going to require a 5 on that AP calculus test. If you are a math major and you got a 3 or a 4 on your AP US History test, then they're probably going to take that. The grade for the course counts on your high school transcript. So if you get a B on your AP course, it is a weighted course. So on your GPA calculations, instead of being a 3.0, that would be a 4.0. Your grade on the AP test has nothing to do with the grade that's on your high school transcript. So those two things are totally separate. You get your grade for your high school transcript based on the work that your teacher here at Center Grove High School grades, and then you get your AP score based on how well you do on your AP exam. Those exams are taken in March, and then they're sent off to be graded. There's lots of short answer, fill in the blank kind of questions, so it does take a little bit to get the AP scores back. We typically receive them in July, and then those would be sent on to the university that you decide to attend. Most AP courses aren't offered until the sophomore, junior, or senior year. So you must meet the prerequisite for the AP courses. So for example, if you want to take AP chemistry, you're going to have taken honors chemistry before that. If you haven't met that prerequisite, then you're not going to be able to take the class. It also requires a staff recommendation. So if you were in chemistry honors, to use that example, and you struggled a lot, then your science teacher might not think it's a good idea to go ahead and take that AP course, and they might recommend another science class for you to take. AP courses can be taken throughout high school. We have lots of them that are available junior and senior year. We do have AP World History that some of you might see when you get your scheduling forms for 8th grade, but that is really the only AP class that you can take your freshman year. The rest of them are going to start mainly your junior year. If you take 4 AP classes and receive a passing score of 3 or higher, then you're considered an AP scholar, which is a pretty nice distinction to have on your diploma. Students can take AP classes and dual credit classes in combination. So you might end up taking a speech class that is dual credit and also take AP US History. So you can mix and match those classes as your schedule permits and as your interest level is taken.
So I'm going to take a minute to talk to you about dual credit and how that might be different from AP, and that's what our next few slides are. We know it can be very confusing. And as we continue on with this program, just a reminder that if you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section. And again, we'll get to those as we continue through our program, and then also at the end we will have a Q&A. So what is dual credit? Dual credit means that students have the opportunity to earn high school credit and college credit simultaneously. Again, to earn that credit, students need to get a C or better in the course. The grade for this course counts on both the high school and the college transcript, but does not impact the college GPA unless the student receives that credit from the institution who is issuing it. So, for instance, if your student takes an ACP class, ACP Chem, which is a chemistry class that's dual credit, that's offered through IU, and your student then decides to go to IU, well, because the credit came from IU and they're attending IU, that grade would count on their transcript. But for instance, if your student were to take an English class here at Center Grove High School, that's a dual credit class through VU, and your student goes to IU, then that grade would not transfer to IU because Vincennes is issuing the credit and not IU. We also offer many other dual credit opportunities. You do not have to be in early college to take them. We offer dual credit opportunities through IU, through UIndy, Ivy Tech, and then again Vincennes. One of the things that is most different about dual credit than AP is that in AP, as Mrs. Ferguson said, in order to get the college credit, you have to get a 3 or higher on the exam, or you have to meet the requirement from the university. With dual credit, there is no exam needed. It's what we call guaranteed college credit. In the instance that you earn a C or better in the class, you earn the college credit. And again, we have options for this if you're in early college, and we have options if you are not in early college. So that's one of the main distinctions between the two. Again, as we go back and forth, early college, most of the credits are transcribed through Vincennes. Again, similar to AP, most of our dual credit classes as you get into your junior and senior year are weighted, and they do have some of the same prerequisite requirements that AP classes do have. EC students are able to take AP courses. Oftentimes that occurs in their math and science, but perhaps they want to take AP psychology. That's also something that's available, or they might take some history electives like AP Euro as they head into their sophomore year. So we're going to take a look at how AP and dual credit compare. And we hope that this chart is something that you find interesting. And we're also going to show another chart as we proceed to the next slide. As you can see, AP has no affiliation to any university. As Mrs. Ferguson said, it's recognized nationally. And so there's no institution that needs to issue the credit. However, with dual credit, that credit has to come from a university. As you can see again with AP, when we talk about grades, we've already said the grade does not transfer. It's part of the high school transcript, but again, it does not impact the college transcript. And I've mentioned again that in dual credit, it can transfer if the student attends the issuing institution. All AP courses are weighted. Dual credit, the majority are weighted, but again, not all of them are weighted. The majority will be weighted as they head into their junior and senior year, and those are weighted because they are the equivalent college credit as the AP course. You can also see again how students earn college credit and how that looks different. Cost is another thing. AP exams are typically paid for by the state, and so usually there is not a fee associated to that exam. Dual credit, however, is a fee. There is a fee that is associated with that, $25 to $75 per credit hour. That is discounted from the university level, but again, AP exams are free for the most part, and dual credit, there is a fee associated. Mrs. Ferguson is going to take a few minutes to talk about the STGEC, and this may be an option that's of interest to some of you.
Several years ago, I think it's been about 10 now, the state of Indiana legislature got together and decided that universities that receive state funding needed to work together. Back in earlier years, if you took a class from Indiana University, Purdue might not take that class, or they might change the number a little bit and call it something different and just count the original class as an elective. So that made it almost impossible for students to transfer between one university and the other. So when the state got together and said that the universities needed to play nicely together, that really helped our students. So if you were part of our earlier presentation, Mrs. McMahon talked about a transfer library. And what that established is that a course that might be H105, which would be U.S. history from exploration up to the Civil War at IU, might be H103 at Purdue, and it might be H126 at Ball State. So this cross-transfer library explains what classes are equal to other classes. And it says that if you are a state institution that receives state funding, you have to accept the other university's credit. So that has allowed us to offer lots more opportunities for students that can feel comfortable that those credits are going to transfer. The STGEC is kind of the value meal of all of those credits. It stands for State Transfer General Education Certificate, which no one's ever going to remember unless you're one of us. But what it means is that core 30 classes, that group of classes, it's a little bit of everything that has some history, some English, math, fine arts, all those things are bundled together to count for your first freshman year of college. So the STGEC, you can take a little bit of classes from AP, you can take an IU ACP class, and then you can take some Vincennes dual credit classes, put those all together for your STGEC, and then that would qualify for your freshman year at any Indiana State University. We've also had great success at the STGEC transferring to other places across the nation. The only 3 places that are not going to accept anything on the STGEC are the 3 military academies, West Point, Navy, and Air Force. They don't accept those credits. However, they do like to see them on the transcript because that assures them that this student is already capable of doing college rigorous work. So counselors need to know if your student is interested in the STGEC. There will be a box to check on your 8th grade scheduling form, or your scheduling form that your 8th grader gets for freshman year. That kind of puts that on our radar screen. Those decisions don't really need to be made until the junior and senior year when those classes are being taken. So, and Mrs. McMahon will jump in here too, there's a little bit of a difference between the EC STGEC and the AP STGEC as well.
As you guys were here for the first part, we talked a little bit about the core 30 and the STGEC. Those are words that we can use interchangeably. So if you're in early college, our students often will earn the STGEC or the core 30. They also have the opportunity to earn the associate's degree. So as we kind of move across the columns, you'll see that there are very different options. And as we said, you're trying to think about the path that might be right for your child. And again, we promise you cannot screw them up when it comes to these pathways. If they're in any of these options, they are going to be just fine. So the early college STGEC, again, is that cohort. It's very different from the AP STGEC and the AP when you consider that particular component. Our students are together, as we said, with several of the same teachers. They're going to earn their STGEC mostly through the dual credit courses. So they will not have to take an exam in order to achieve their dual credit. We do have early college students who take AP science classes and AP math classes, and in those instances, they would have the option to either earn the dual credit. If it's like an ACP class, they could take the test and have to pass it, but oftentimes, early college STGECs are earned through the dual credit, again, not taking the test. With that, also, over half of their classes are weighted. As we move over to the AP STGEC, you'll see that there is no cohort. Students are not considered a team. Those students who do the AP STGEC would take mostly AP courses. We would recommend that they are in honors courses in all 4 cores as they begin their freshman year. They do need to take 6 classes through Vincennes. Vincennes is the institution that will issue the STGEC. The only hang-up that some students have, and this is one of the reasons why they may not receive the STGEC, is because they do not want to take some unweighted VU classes. For instance, theater is an option for students that they have to take to perhaps meet their fine arts credit. Well, in order to do that, it's a non-weighted class. And so students who go the AP STGEC route do need to understand that some of those 6 classes will not be weighted. So if your student is someone who wants to have the absolute maximum highest GPA possible, the STGEC is not necessarily the best option for them. But let me assure you that we have students who earn the EC STGEC and the AP STGEC, and they have over 4.0s. And they have weighted GPAs of 4.3s, 4.4s. They're getting into the colleges and universities that they want to get into. And oftentimes, which is something that might be surprising to many of you, is that when students apply to college, colleges want them to remove the weight. And so your student may have strived to have a 4.4 GPA, and the college is going to look at the transcript and say, okay, that's great, they have a 4.4, but we only want to see what their non-weighted GPA is. So perhaps it's a 4.0. And the reason for that is because schools like Center Grove can offer a variety of classes that smaller schools cannot. And so it helps to balance the playing field a little bit. But by taking those courses, please keep in mind that the colleges are able to see the rigorous courses they took, which means that your student is prepared and they want to see the weight of the schedule. So we try to tell parents to not get so hung up on the weighted GPA, and that, yes, GPAs are important, but for the majority of our students who are in this situation, it's not going to prevent them from achieving a college goal that they have. Again, as we move on, you can see that the AP is an option, but does not come with that completed certificate. We kind of call that the a la carte path. And so what that means is that there again is no cohort, and your student can just pick and choose the AP classes that they want to take. Again, they can intermix between, it's not like middle school where if you don't get into an honors course, that you can't ever take an honors course in that class or in that subject again. So obviously there are prerequisite classes, but if, for instance, your child takes Honors English 9, doesn't take Honors English 10, but wants to then go into AP 11, that is an option here at our high school. So that provides the a la carte path for students who might want to focus in a particular area of study. Credit, again, is only earned through their AP test. Every class is weighted, and their support then, as you can see, are through the classroom teachers. I believe our next slides are going to show you some sample freshman schedules, and this we hope will be helpful for you. Remember that no matter which pathway your student takes, the freshman schedule is relatively the same. All students have to take the same things. Now the level of what they take might be different, but as you kind of look across the three, you'll notice that there definitely are some similarities there. Mrs. Ferguson, is there anything you want to discuss on the schedules?
No. Well, other than your students' schedules will be determined by the criteria, very similar to what Mrs. McMahon uses for EC. But when we have our scheduling meeting in March, your student will get a label that has all of the courses that the high school has recommended that your student take in every content area. So it will say potentially English 9 honors, Algebra 1 honors, World History and Geography, Spanish 2. It will give you some ideas of which courses that your student should take. So that will help you set the path that they need to be on based on the criteria such as their grades and classes, their standardized test scores, and those different data points.
Okay, so I believe we've reached the end of our slides. And so, again, we just want to give you an opportunity to ask us some questions. Again, it can be regarding AP, honors classes, it can be regarding early college. And again, we just want to reinforce to you that there are many right paths. And while GPA is important, what we find often is that colleges want well-rounded students who pursue things that they're passionate about. Scholarships don't just come from straight A's and high test scores. So we ask students to be involved. We want kids to find things that they're passionate about and try not to be so stressed over every single point that they have, because college is a future experience that we want their high school experience to kind of lend them the opportunity for success to get there. So we'll go through, and if you have questions that you'd like to pose, please go ahead. If you do not have questions, we have reached the end of our presentation. So if there's nothing further you'd like to ask, feel free to jump off. And again, we are here and available to answer any of your questions. And again, like Mrs. Ferguson said, there will be a freshman information night coming up, which we will then go through more of the diploma types, go over student schedules, and add a little bit more details to that. Do you guys see the weighted classes? Are there any questions we need to answer?
One of the questions that we have is what qualifies the AP Scholar diploma? That is the student taking 4 or more AP courses and receiving a 3 or higher on all of the AP exams. It isn't a diploma type, it's just a distinction that goes, a sticker that actually goes on the actual diploma that shows that the student has been very successful in our AP courses.
There's a question regarding the VU Keystone and the VU Comp 110 class. The question is, what are those? VU Keystone is a study skills class that is a dual credit class. It's a combination of our high school Keystone, which is an introductory to careers, as well as kind of an introduction to the high school. So our students begin with that, and then second semester they have the opportunity to take Comp 110, which is a computer class that allows them to receive credentialing in Microsoft, PowerPoint, Excel, Publisher, and they actually can get Microsoft certified if they pass their certification. So those are just some options that are available. Keystone is a requirement for every freshman. Early college kids take the VU Keystone. Other students take regular Keystone. Comp 110 is an optional elective second semester. Let's see, a question is, if a student chooses strictly AP, does he have to take any English or social studies courses, or can he take more math and science? Great question. Part of the graduation requirement is that students take 4 years of English, so they will have to have English every single year. And depending on their goals, 3 to 4 years of math. Assuming that they're in AP, we would recommend 4 years of math for any student who is going to a 4-year college. Now they can take electives as they get older to maximize their math and science options. For example, they could take AP Finite, they could take AP Stats as they hit those junior and senior years. So they can take electives that are more heavily weighted in the math and science areas, but unfortunately they still have to take English and social studies. Do you want to answer about scheduling for virtual students?
One of the questions we had is, how will scheduling be handled for virtual students? We will be sending out a video that will go to all of our virtual students that explains the information that our in-person students are going to be receiving, and then those students will have the opportunity to fill out their scheduling forms just like every other student and turn those in. Our timeline this year is that we're going to be passing out the schedules the first week of March and hope to have those back by spring break. And then we'll allow changes to them after a student thinks through or meets with their counselors up until May 1st. So we'll have plenty of opportunities. At this point, we do not know what next year looks like as far as virtual options. So there'll be a spot on the scheduling form that the student can check if they're interested potentially if we have a virtual option for next year.
Ms. Krugmeyer, do you want to answer the question about in order to take AP classes in grades 11 and 12, must they be in all honors classes to start with?
Yeah, sure. So, oh, sorry. Is that better? Okay. In order for students to take AP classes, they do not have to be in honors classes before. It definitely helps, It helps prepare them, and the honors classes usually feed into the AP curriculum, but again, it is not required. We do have the teachers do recommendations on the scheduling forms for students who do want to move into AP classes. So if they're a high achieving student in a regular course, they absolutely can still get into AP classes.
Are there exceptions for math and science? Do they need to likely be in the honors classes in order to be in the AP classes?
Yeah, most likely the honors math, we like to see that continue on, and it is very difficult for them to jump into the AP courses. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, yes.
Trish, you want to answer the question?
We had another question as to, for the 8th grade scheduling, will students get a recommendation? And yes, we will give you a recommendation of, based on all of your students' data and the classes that they've taken, what courses we believe they'll be most successful for as a freshman. So your student will get an individualized scheduling form that has all of the courses, or the core courses, the math, science, English, social studies, and if we think that they should take a foreign language, that will be pre-printed on there. If a parent and student decide that they don't want to take an honors version, you can always opt to take the regular version of a course. If you're not recommended for honors and you think that maybe your child should be, there is an appeal form that you can fill out online, and that goes to Dr. Henderson, our principal, and he will make the determination as to allow the student to go into that honors class or not. What we want to do is make sure we have a good balance for the students of classes that push them, but we also don't want to frustrate them and get them burnt out on school. High school is also a time to be making memories and finding out the things that they really enjoy. So we want to balance their opportunity to participate in clubs and sports and all kinds of activities with that rigor of their freshman year. We typically remember the memories we made in high school, and that's not always in the academic courses. So we want to make sure we have well-rounded students that are ready to move forward with things that they truly enjoy doing.
There is one, okay. There is a question on here about if parents meet with a counselor with the student to help determine schedule, or is it student only? So right now, the way that we have it set up is that we will go to the middle schools after we do our scheduling meetings or scheduling presentation to the 8th graders. We will then give them the scheduling forms. Parents will have a chance to look it over, pick classes, ask questions, and then all of the counselors from the high school will actually go to each middle school. Depending on schedule and where we're at, if we're hybrid or not, we will plan on spending full day with the students, and we will go through and we will meet with them one-on-one about their schedule. So the short answer is we will just meet with the student. However, please know that if you guys have any questions moving forward, we're all available to answer those questions as you move through this, because we know that as you get going, there's lots of questions that pop up.
We had a question regarding what honors classes are available at the high school. Starting your freshman year, you had the opportunity to take 4 honors classes, assuming you qualify, in the core content areas. So English, math, science, and social studies, we have those options available. AP World is the only AP class that we have available for freshmen, and that is for our highest level of achieving freshmen. Obviously, taking an AP course your freshman year can be challenging. That is a course that can be taken again as a student maybe is not offered at their freshman year, but they could take it their sophomore year. As we go through and we look at the data, we will recommend students for those particular courses. And it also may be refreshing to know that simply because your student wasn't recommended for an honors course in middle school does not mean that they won't be recommended for an honors course here at the high school. As we look at students' data, we are able to offer the course to every student who has met those requirements. So again, your student may have been offered 2 honors courses in middle school, and perhaps as they head into high school, they'll be offered 4. So we just want to reassure you that it's kind of a new playing field, a new level the playing field a little bit as our classes are available for students who meet those requirements.
The question about how will applications and scheduling work for children in private or Catholic schools. If you are applying for early college, you will go through that process, and then once you get the answer whether or not your child has been accepted or not, then we will move into an enrollment for the child for early college, and the same thing goes with a student that is transferring to the high school who is not interested in early college, just interested in being a Center Grove student. We will do an enrollment meeting probably the very beginning of summer if we can get them in. I do work an extended contract, so usually those kids I take care of on the back end of the school so that they know what classes are coming for them in the fall.
And I'd just like to follow up by saying that if you have a student who's not in the Center Grove school system and you would like for them to apply to early college, it would be beneficial for them to apply and hit our current deadline, which again is the 2nd of February. And if you would reach out to me, because there are likely data pieces that we need for your students so that we can effectively place them, and I won't have those pieces of data simply because they're not in our system. So again, if you have a student who does not go to Center Grove currently, please reach out so we can inform you what data pieces might be most beneficial as we look to place your child.
There was a question about summer classes being offered. Typically for incoming freshmen, most likely you're looking at potentially a Keystone class, and Mrs. Krugmeyer, you're welcome to chime in if you think of any others. Typically health is not offered until after they've completed their freshman year. Those classes will roll out typically after spring break. This year it might be a little bit later, but we'll get that information to the middle schools during that time period.
Absolutely.
And just one more follow-up to the summer school classes. If your student is in early college, they will not be able to take Keystone during the summer because ours is a dual credit class that they'll take in the fall. However, if your student is not an EC kid, they do have the opportunity to take Keystone over the summer if they would like.
So if your student has taken a high school class in middle school, whether it be algebra, biology, maybe a Spanish or a French, world language, whatever that might be, if you're choosing for those grades to be transferred over to their high school transcript, yes, they would progress on to the next level. So if they've taken Algebra 1, they performed well, they want to progress on to the next level, they'll go on to the Algebra 2. Most likely it's going to be in an honors area. Same with the world language. If for one reason or another your student has maybe not performed to where you would like them to be, they could opt not to have those classes put on their high school transcript and could retake those classes at the high school and begin their high school career here.
Are there any other questions that are out there? If you're still with us, there's 125 of you. We are super impressed. Again, lots of information. And like I said, and we've said many times, you don't need to get it all this first time. You're going to hear it time and time again, and we're here to help you along the way. Lots of us have high school kids here. So Mrs. Ferguson already had a son graduate. He is at Air Force, actually, so she knows the military route. Her son earned the STGEC. She has a daughter in early college. I have a daughter in early college as well. So Mrs. Chaplin's daughter takes several AP classes as well. We kind of have the gamut of experience here. So we're here, especially if it's your first child. And again, every child's different. And of course, this year has definitely been challenging as well. So again, it's like drinking from a water hose. We're going to figure it out, and we promise you'll be fine, and so will your children. How do you get into honors classes as freshmen? Again, we're going to take a look at your students' data, and as we begin to make schedules in February, your child will be recommended for that class or not. Again, if you feel like your child should be recommended and is not, there's an appeals process that will go through Dr. Henderson, and then those decisions will be made in the early summer months. We'll take just a few more minutes to see if there are any other questions that you have. Again, this presentation will be posted on the website, so feel free to go back and review. There are also several frequently asked question pages out there. The videos are also linked, so you have the opportunity to review them at your leisure. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you as you transition. We'll wait just another minute. Do you guys know when summer school classes begin and when they end?
Do you know the exact dates?
I do not have the exact dates. Usually it's like 3 days after
Typically,
school.
summer classes are going to begin the week. There's about a week off, and then they start, and they run for 6 or 8 weeks.
The whole summer.
It runs the whole summer to right before school starts. So you can anticipate that your child, if they choose to take a summer class, first of all, it would be online, and second of all, that's going to encompass their summer.
Also, mark your calendars for March 2nd. That's when we have that 8th grade scheduling night. Unless things change drastically, it will look very similar to tonight. So make sure if you have questions, don't hesitate to throw those in the Q&A that night as well. And, you know, as Mrs. McMahon said, there's probably no question that we haven't encountered before. We've all been in your shoes. Actually, Mrs. McMahon and I both have incoming freshmen as well. So we've probably seen many of you at middle school choir concerts and all those kinds of activities. So please don't hesitate to reach out and ask any questions. There's no dumb question, and I promise you it's not a question that we haven't heard before.
All right, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And again, we look forward to seeing you at the beginning of March as we share a little bit more information about freshman scheduling. Thank you.